I was at the Grammys and there's a whole team of us there. We produce a live red carpet pre-show and then we've got clients with us. And it's like on Grammys night, I'm not actually like thinking about having fun. I'm like laser focused on how much there is for us to do. Actually, 2 previous editors-in-chief when I first got this job, they each reached out to me separately and said, don't forget to have fun. And I thought that was really interesting advice, so I have to begin to internalize.
You're going to try to get to that.
I'm trying to get
it's
to
on
that.
your list of what to do that
Exactly.
day. Hi, everyone, and welcome to How She Does It, where we meet talented women who are excelling in their careers and moving the cultural conversation forward. And we ask them how they do it. I'm Karen Feinerman. I'm a longtime Wall Street investor, a mom of 4, and a panelist on CNBC's Fast Money. People magazine has been part of the American zeitgeist for more than 50 years. And Charlotte Triggs has been at the helm as editor-in-chief and general manager since early 2025. She's built her entire 20-plus year career at People, where she started as an intern. Around the time Charlotte graduated, movies like The Devil Wears Prada, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and 13 Going on 30 made a career in magazines look glamorous and exciting. And in the case of Devil Wears Prada, also a bit terrifying. 20-plus years later, the magazine business has shrunk and the digital landscape has exploded. Through it all, the People brand has persevered, thanks in part to their special editions, including People's Sexiest Man Alive and People's World's Most Beautiful, the latter of which hits newsstands this week. And the 2026 cover girl? Appropriately, Devil Wears Prada 2 star Anne Hathaway, who Charlotte interviewed for this new issue. Charlotte joined me in the studio and we chatted about why she fell in love with celebrity journalism, her plans for keeping People a major player in pop culture, and her dream celebrity interview. This was a fun conversation. Hope you enjoy it. Charlotte Triggs, thank you so much for being here. I know it's a busy week, so I'm excited that you made the time for us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
So you've been editor-in-chief and general manager of People since early 2025, overseeing print and digital. How is the job going?
I mean, I'm really pleased so far with how everything's going. I feel like we have been on a roll. And the one change that came with me kind of stepping into this is that it's all being run, the entire brand, both digital and print, is all being run under one org now. So it's like everybody is playing on the same team. There may be like all kinds of different priorities. And we know in this business, the media business, the sands are constantly shifting and priorities are constantly shifting. AI is a big curveball that's coming at us from left field, you know what I mean? But the editorial team has to all have one vision, one idea of what we're doing so that we can be doing like 100 different versions of the content for Instagram and for YouTube and for print and for digital and all of these different goals that we have. It's just too hard to run it separately. So I'm so pleased with how everything's been going.
So your entire professional career, you have been with one brand. Has that been an advantage to you or maybe a disadvantage?
Well, I mean, I think the advantage is I know the brand inside and out very intimately. I've held so many different positions. I worked on so many different types of content. I did style stories, and there was a moment where plastic surgery was its own beat, and that was what I did for a year. I wrote stories about plastic surgery, and then entertainment and all these different things. And also, I've worked on so many of the different products that we've made. Like, I worked in the magazine for many years. Then I made the jump over to digital. We had a podcast for a brief moment, and I was a producer on that. Like, I've worked on a lot of different formats, and so I think that's given me a unique advantage to do this particular job. I mean, who knows? There's probably higher earning potential in entirely other industries, I'm sure.
So, all right, but let's talk about the most beautiful issue,
Okay.
which is out now. Okay, it's a big secret until it's announced. I had to sign an NDA.
Thank you.
So tell me about this year's pick and the process that went into it.
Yeah, so I'm really excited by this year's choice. We have Anne Hathaway on the cover. It's a stunningly beautiful cover. The whole shoot was amazing. And I got to interview her, and I really enjoyed our conversation. And I think what makes her exciting this year is that she's having such a moment. She's so in the zeitgeist. She's got 5 films coming out. So, of course, she's, having maybe one of the biggest years of her career. But it's after having been through quite a lot of ups and downs. She's had a 25-year career of making blockbuster films that everybody can quote and has seen. But the year she won an Oscar, there was like a whole army of people that were sort of hating on her. They even gave them a name, the Hatha-haters. So she has really experienced what it is for people to want to tear you down when you're having too much success. And she talks in the interview about how she felt like she was in this awkward phase until she turned 40, when she just decided to maybe stop trying to be so perfect and just sort of live and try to enjoy herself. And I think that it's this confidence and this relaxation is that she's feeling after like finally kind of like letting go of the need to be perfect, be something for everybody, is actually seeing her enjoying even more success. And I think that's something that many women could probably relate to, even if they couldn't necessarily go to her same facialist or Pilates instructor. You know what I mean? It's not just about the aesthetics of it or about what's on the outside. It's about, I think that's a really cool message that you can like kind of feel better, achieve more, and be happier and weather some unpleasantries in your life and kind of come out on the other end more successful than ever.
It's interesting. She is really beautiful, but she is an outstanding actress.
She really is. She absolutely is. I mean, she's been in so many movies that like everybody's seen, like The Princess Diaries, Devil Wears Prada, which people are going nuts for the sequel. And I heard I'm going to maybe run into you there.
Yes.
So that would be exciting. I mean, like that movie is going to be big. She can bring people to the box office. She's a major movie star.
She also has a reputation of having wanting to be a little more private. How did you think about that when you did the interview?
So going into the interview, I had a bunch of questions for her about motherhood. And she said something in passing that indicated like, I'm really private about stuff. I don't talk about stuff. And so I just said to her, I'm like, listen, the next 5 questions I have are all about being a mom. Do you prefer that I don't ask them? And she was like, no, go ahead and ask them and I'll try. And if I don't feel comfortable, I'll just tell you. And I thought that was totally reasonable. It was a total pro way to handle it. And I really appreciated that. I mean, it's like, you know, as a journalist, of course, I want someone to answer all the questions with the most colorful possible thing. But I understand. I understand what she's getting at, and I really appreciated it. And she gave me a great interview.
So can you tell us what goes into a feature like this, which is a really important one for your brand? What's the process?
So basically, we need to decide the cover, of course. That we did pretty early this year. I'm trying to get the team to get these asks out and to make these decisions. Like we're making these decisions earlier and earlier because I realized that is just going to be more advantageous to us. Last year's cover was Demi Moore, which was great. And I thought that was a perfect time for it. And then for Sexiest Man Alive, we had Jonathan Bailey. Those are our 2 big kind of special tentpoles. I was so happy with both of those bookings. And one of the things that was unique about last year is we asked people way, way earlier than
What's
we used
way
to.
earlier?
Like
how far
months and months and months in advance. Like a long lead magazine might. Because actually, for certain types of things, we're really competing with them. There's hardly any weeklies left, but we're not competing with them for these kinds of big bookings. We're competing with a Vanity Fair or a Vogue or something for a big sit down. And we're, you know, then getting the best photographers and like these great stars to pose for us. The shoots have been amazing, and I'm really excited by the momentum that we're seeing.
So when you start to begin the process, do you have a person in mind?
This was my far and away number 1 choice, and I almost can't believe that it came through. You know what I mean? Like, how often do you get your number 1 choice? But the last couple times we have, and I'm so excited. It's like, that's why I feel so lucky that we're on such a roll. How I triangulated around this, I'm like looking at what movies are going to come out. I'm looking at what's likely to be happening around April, May. I realized The Devil Wears Prada was coming out, and I was like, oh my God. In other years, we haven't always been so lucky because maybe what we might have a vision of, maybe the person doesn't have anything that they want to be going to the trouble of doing a photo shoot for at that particular moment. But we got super lucky this year, and I'm so excited.
Okay, so you talk a lot about planning ahead, months in advance. Do you know who your sexiest man alive is yet?
Actually, I do. And it's not going to be shared yet.
Okay.
But it's going to be exciting.
Okay, so when will we know?
End of October.
Okay.
Yes.
So
it's going to be exciting. You've got months to go. And I probably shouldn't even tell you that I've got it picked, but I do have it picked actually. And it's exciting. And my daughters gave me an opinion on a handful of different people, and it helped crystallize which direction we wanted to go in.
Okay. And they signed an NDA, so you're good.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
You literally have a front row seat to pop culture. So what are some of your pinch me moments that you've had?
I mean, you sometimes, I guess it's like a shame to say, but it's like sometimes you forget that some of these things are so cool because we're working so hard while we're doing it that you're not really thinking about, like making sure to have fun. I was at the Grammys and there's a whole team of us there. We produce a live red carpet pre-show, and then we've got clients with us. On Grammys night, I'm not actually like thinking about having fun. I'm like laser focused on how much there is for us to do. Actually, 2 previous editors-in-chief when I first got this job, they each reached out to me separately and said, don't forget to have fun. And I thought that was really interesting advice. So I have to begin to internalize that.
You're going to try to get to that.
Gotta try to get
it's
to
on
that.
your list of what to do that
Exactly.
day. Okay, good. So what's capturing your attention these days? What do your readers really care about now?
We've been on a roll with Kennedys. I mean, that's classic people, of course, because it's like, did you watch Love Story?
I didn't actually, because I want to keep it in my head the way I remembered.
Or that, that's actually our editor-at-large, Liz McNeil, who she actually wrote a biography of JFK, and she was a reporter in the 90s of people like covering it. She like didn't want to watch it because she was like, I remember it in real life, and it's like almost going to be like depressing. But we're like, come on, Liz, we need you to bring your gift, to the table. We did 2 covers recently about JFK and Carolyn, kind of just like re-examining the actual story in light of all the attention on the show. And people have been really into it because it's, the like OG people audience may have been around and remember it and are nostalgic for it. And then there's a whole younger audience of people that are discovering it for the first time, people who weren't even maybe alive then or didn't have any awareness of it, who are consuming the show. They want to know what's real and what's not real. And we're lucky enough to have the woman who wrote the book on JFK working at People. And we did a weekly newsletter that she put together with all the best Kennedy content curated by her. She really knows what she's talking about. And we had her on social doing videos kind of breaking down what's real, what's exaggerated. It was a cool moment, actually, to kind of showcase the brand expertise.
So he was the sexiest man alive.
He was, yeah. So he was Sexiest Man Alive in 1988, actually. And that's a little bit before my time, but it was definitely an iconic one and probably one of our best that we ever did. I have been at People since I was an intern in 2004. And then I started full-time in 2005. So I've seen a lot of action, but my first SMA was Matthew McConaughey. So yes, JFK came a little bit before I got in there.
So now celebrities, if they have a big announcement to make, they could go on Instagram. How do you sort of compete with that? Or
some people do it on their own Instagram, but they also ask us for a little help. Like, well, they'll come to us and they'll share it with us in advance so that we can amplify them. And really where we can make the biggest difference to people is when they have something sensitive that they need to deal with. And A, we have a mass audience. B, we have an empathetic audience, people who are ready to hear something and try to understand them, a compelling sit down, and you're seeing somebody in their home or you're getting to like kind of know personal elements about them. It can make a big difference for whether or not people really hear it, So I think there's still a massive amount of value added in telling a story in People, not to mention just the plain old amplification.
And I've heard you talk in the past about if it's in People, it's true.
Yeah, that's our reputation. It's super important to us. I see people of all generations kind of indicating this. It's like back when it was like a tabloid landscape, people would wait to see it in People to see if it was true. And that served us very well when there might be a story that a star needed to navigate. They would come and give it to us in order for people to understand that it was true. Because we also kind of lent that gravitas to it. Like we take celebrity news or even something that may be a little bit fluffy, we take it all dead seriously. You know what I mean? We're like so intense about the reporting and how we're fact checking everything. And then nowadays, sort of the modern version of that would be all of these TikTok creators. A lot of people have made a little industry out of, just kind of going on camera, breaking down a story that's of interest. They don't necessarily have any actual reporting. They're not necessarily reporters. They're just kind of pulling theories from all different places. And you actually see that more and more the publicists and people would like to come to us to have us help be the place of record and reinforce what they want understood to be the record. And there's wild conspiracy theories that like whip around TikTok these days and around the internet.
All right, let's talk about you. Celebrity journalism was not in your original plan. So I understand you wanted to be a ballerina.
Yes, I did actually. I was training pretty seriously. I was auditioning for all the big schools, School of American Ballet and all that kind of stuff. And I was doing like the summer intensives that you do. I did one at the Joffrey. I didn't get into everything, which I would say like now on reflection, it's a cutthroat industry. And if you're not the very best, it's going to be like hard to get a job in that business. And it did take me until until around the time it was time to look at colleges and it was time to get serious about making a decision to realize that wasn't going to be a viable professional path for me. But I was training pretty seriously for a while.
So was it hard to sort of leave that dream behind?
Yeah, it was, but it was also maybe a bit of a relief, actually. It was extremely stressful. It's a stressful environment. I had Russian teachers. I mean, like, my joke is, I've had people tell me in like the business world, like, that they're impressed, like, how much pressure I can handle. And I was like, I was trained by the Russians. You don't understand.
Right. This is a piece of cake.
This is nothing.
All right. So you went to Rutgers. You studied German and English literature. And then how did journalism get your attention?
I guess when I was studying English literature, I imagined maybe that I wanted to write. And so then when I was thinking about around probably my junior year, I was looking for internships where you could do some writing. And nobody's asking for somebody to come write a novel, right? So there were two options that I found and applied to. One was an independent film studio, and I probably would have been writing like marketing materials for them. And the other was a little independent news website in New York City. And I went there and I found that I kind of liked that type of storytelling and that it was really fun. And you got to kind of go out and meet all kinds of people and talk to them about all kinds of things. And it showed me that journalism is something that I find interesting. And so then I looked for other opportunities. And I was like, I wrote for my local paper and I wrote for the Rutgers magazine. And then I applied to the American Society of Magazine Editors internship program. And I got into that and they put me at People for a summer internship the following year. And that was where I got my entry point into this kind of like fun, splashy world of celebrity journalism. And that was a whole other ballgame.
Okay, I heard that Field and Stream was also a possibility.
Yeah,
Do you think you would still be there at
You know
Field and
what?
Stream if it had gone that way?
Good question. I'm not a big fisherman, so maybe not. But
But so you get to People and you feel like, oh, this is fun.
yeah, it was super fun. And the first assignment that I remember was just a research assignment because back then it was like not how it is now where everybody needs all hands on deck writing. I didn't write anything for a long time. So my first assignment was to research a package on 90 stars. Where are they now? And I don't know, I approached it as seriously as though it was my dissertation or something, and like I was super into it. And I guess they were like really appreciative and it was just fun. I realized like this is an actual job and this is actual content that people are going to then read and enjoy. It didn't have my byline on it or anything because it was a whole other world. There were lots of layers. There was like reporters in the field, fact checkers, writers who would write up from files. Then it would go through 3 levels of edits before it would go to the copy editors and then go to the printer. So that's so many people touching every single story. And there was like absolutely ruthless competition for the pages. And you might have a story that really there's nothing wrong with it a week from now, but if they ran out of space for it for some reason, they would just kill it. And even if they'd already shot it, if they'd already done all the work, they would just like be like, oh, well, easy come, easy go. And that definitely happened to me throughout my time as a reporter. And you'd be in those meetings praying that that it makes it onto the mock-up.
So you moved to the digital side at a time when print was still the biggest thing. So looking back, that seems prescient.
So yeah, I had sort of worked my way up to a management role on the magazine. I was the head of the TV department where we would write about like all the celebrities on TV shows. And I was eager for some growth, but I couldn't really see any space to grow on the magazine itself. And then when a position opened up on the website in a senior role, kind of like overseeing all the day-to-day content, I was like, I think I could do that because at that point in time, we had only very recently as a brand integrated the digital and the print editorial, like where if I was the TV editor, I was in charge of all the TV URLs. And so I took that really seriously and I got to know the analytics and all of this kind of stuff. And the TV department generated 40% of the traffic on the website at the time. I was very proud of these numbers, okay? And out of 16 verticals, it was 40%. And I remember saying to the hiring manager of this open role that would have been a big promotion for me, I already run 40% of the site. Why don't you just let me run the whole thing? And they did.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yes.
So that was prescient. As I said, where do you think the next part of the business is headed?
Well, I mean, everything is constantly evolving as we speak. And really, the biggest problem is you just don't have control over many factors, right? We don't control certain things about how the newsstand works, and we don't control how Google refers sessions to you, whatever, right? So one of the things we really want to do is just have a direct relationship with our audience, which luckily we really very much do because we're a very strong brand name. People recognize it. We have a huge subscriber base in print still. And we have
Really?
We do, yeah.
How big is that subscriber base?
The total circulation is 2.2 mil. And so I think it's 1.5 is print subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the rest of it is people who subscribe to a digital version of the magazine. So it's a massive amount. It's very, very large. Even if the newsstand is like a little bit more difficult than it once was, the subscribers are still really big. And then we know that we have a devoted audience because 20% of our traffic comes directly to our homepage. And that's extremely rare for most news outlets. Most places are getting their traffic through like a URL that is being shown on Facebook or on Google or on whatever. But that means 20% of all the people coming to us want to look at people specifically. So that's a great signal. What's next in that space, I think, is we're trying to attract as many people as possible to using the People app, because that's where we can really make it kind of like a hub of the brand. We can put all the video in one place, all the articles in one place, all the games. Have you ever done the Puzzler that's in print? It's a legendarily easy crossword puzzle. It's really kind of fun. It's not the New York Times crossword puzzle.
Okay, I do have a little bit of a spelling bee addiction.
Okay, so you might actually quite enjoy it. So games are actually like part of our kind of brand DNA. We've got a whole bunch of digital games on the app as well. So it's like a very fun place. And we're hoping that it'll become kind of like a hub of the brand where people can, you know, this devoted audience that we do have can kind of come and engage with us as things continue evolving.
So let's talk about your leadership style a little bit. Your staff has described you as very decisive and direct. How did that evolve?
Listen, I think that's very accurate. I am super decisive, and that hasn't always made it an easy time for me, especially when I wasn't. Let's put it this way: when you're not in charge, but you're very decisive about something, it doesn't necessarily.
It's not as fun as when you are in charge.
You're not going to necessarily get your way. You might have to go to some lengths to persuade it, or just have a lot of friction, which I did for plenty of time. But yes, I am pretty decisive, and I would say that ultimately, I think that makes people's jobs a lot easier.
For sure.
And I am direct too, which can sometimes be a little bit surprising to people. But I think once people know me, they know that it's like, I literally am being direct. There's nothing hidden behind this. If I had more feelings about it, or if I was trying to insinuate something, I would just straight up tell you. So I had that conversation with someone one time years ago. They were having a reaction to some request or some feedback or whatever. They were reading into it, and I was like, you don't need to read into it because I'll just tell you what I actually think. And we should have that understanding with each other that we can be completely honest. So I am aware now in like a leadership position, like I got to be careful about how I convey things, but I also do really believe in it. It's to everybody's benefit.
So you are sort of a rare bird in this field, having been at one place for a really long time and risen to the top of the ranks. What advice do you give young women who want to be in this field?
Well, the number one thing is you have to ask for what you want. I've basically done that at every step of the way. I've probably held like 3 different jobs, like reporter / writers, editor, and then now GM, like adding that into the mix, like kind of running the business a bit is different. But I've had all these different titles. And I would say, oh, I see that this person who at the title above me just decided to leave and take another job. Can I think I could do that. Can I have it? And actually, I think every single time people have given it to me. When I asked if I could work on the TV team because they seemed busier, and they said, okay. And then later I asked if I could have this digital job. And then if there's open roles, that's your ticket. People don't just create things for you. And this is what most people really don't understand, because you have to kind of be a manager to kind of like see how things work. But most people are not just inventing things to be the solution for you. You have to also look for opportunities, and you got to be willing to jump from one thing to another. I've seen a lot of this. We have people who work at off hours, maybe they might be on the weekend. They get great training doing that because they're learning about all the different subject matters that we do. They have to be able to do breaking news. These people are highly valuable, and they can slot into basically any open job. And sometimes the open jobs are like something hard news or something not glamorous. I've had a bunch of people be like, what I really want is to be a music writer. And I'm like, well, I don't have that right now. So you got to look for opportunities, and you got to also just be a little flexible and see the opportunity in something, even if it doesn't look exactly like what you want your end game to be. Like, try to think creatively about what you can get out of it.
Mm-hmm. I'm also curious, this is a business now.
Yeah.
You're in charge of a business, which is different than where you started. How did you learn those skills? How comfortable do you feel in this role?
Well, at different points in my career, I've tried to assess what do I think is next for me, and it's not always obvious. And then I try to think, okay, if I want to do that, what is the skill gap? What's the thing that I don't have that I need to learn? When I wanted to move over to digital, I'm like, I need to learn all about the analytics and all about all the referral channels and how we're getting our traffic in order to be effective in this space. And then when I was going to be GM, it was like learning more about all the different ways that we're getting our traffic and continuing to like evolve that. But like, you know, more about the ad sales side and how are we generating direct revenue through partnerships and things like that. So I'm constantly kind of like looking for the things that I might not know how to do to try to learn them while I can before it becomes that like, you know, the ship has sailed and I don't know how to jump in.
Do you think about, all right, what job do you want next?
That is a stumper to me. I don't know where the business is going. I don't know. And that's a scary thing, actually, to be honest, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyone who really knows for sure what's going to happen isn't quite in reality, which might be okay.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think that anybody really knows where.
Barry Diller has a quote, nobody knows anything.
Right.
Yeah.
My chairman, who
right.
I quite like and agree with that assessment. Yeah.
That was a great book.
Actually, that book was very interesting, and everybody should read it because there's so many lessons. I mean, he has seen so much action in this industry, and I've only gotten to be in meetings with him a few times, but I really like him, and I think there's so much to learn from someone who's seen that much.
All right, let's talk about you. How we always ask our guests, how do you run your life? You have 3 kids, right?
Yeah, I do. I have
3 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
You have a big job and a big family. How do you make that work?
So I've got 3 daughters. My oldest is 11, and then I've got twins who are about to be 9. And I also have 3 dogs.
One for each daughter?
Yes, one for each daughter. Basically, it amounts to that. But no, it's a lot. And I live in New Jersey. I've got a long commute. My husband works in a totally different industry than I do. He works in tech, and he works remotely unless he's traveling for clients. So that right there is a little bit helpful and can give a little kind of blanket coverage, you know, if I have to be somewhere that he'll hopefully be working from home that day. I have a nanny. My mom lives nearby and helps me out a lot. I needed all of this support before I was the editor-in-chief, but now I really, really, really need support. I've been like honestly needing more help than ever because there's a lot to do and there's different kinds of obligations. There's like hard obligations. Like I have to be in Los Angeles for 5 days. Or there's going to be an events up front at our company. We're inviting 200 advertisers, and I have to be on stage at a certain time. Like, it used to be that if I wanted to work remotely this day or that day, it was really squishy, and I could just kind of like make it work. It didn't necessarily matter which day someone was seeing me in person, and now it might, because there might be like a whole meeting of 200 people that are waiting on me to say yes or no to something, and I think it makes a difference that they see me in person and are able to like get that attention from me. So it's a lot. I actually really like to cook, but I don't have it in me. I can't do it lately. You know what I mean? Like, except maybe on the weekends. But I have run out of steam for certain things.
And you feel okay just letting that go?
Well, it's like in the last month, my mom's retired and she's been like coming over a few times a week and cooking dinner for the girls and stuff like that. So it's like it's very nice and luxurious. You know what I mean? But it's like otherwise, it's not gonna happen.
I let it go for my children's entire childhood. Yeah, so I totally get it.
I interviewed Donna Karen one time, and she told me that when she was a working mom, that it was like she kind of thought she needed to cook for them because it was like her showing love, and then she was like, "I'm doing this instead of actually talking to them." So just never mind. But I learned from that.
So when your kids were a little bit smaller, what did they think you did for a living?
My oldest daughter one time said, "Oh, I thought you're a lawyer. You're not a lawyer?" I don't know why she thought I was a lawyer. I mean, that was actually pretty funny. Maybe because I'm on the phone, like arguing with people. But yeah, she thought I was a lawyer. Now they understand what I do because they've gotten to see some of the fun parts.
Right.
You know, like they got to come to the office and interview Tyler Peck for like a social video
you're the greatest mom ever.
Hopefully so. And then when we had a screening of Wicked 2 and Jonathan Bailey came by as a surprise and they got to sit in the front row and see that. So it's like there's certain things that have been quite memorable and fun that they've gotten to enjoy. And I think now they get it.
So they must be thrilled. She doesn't cook, but she does. She does do this.
Exactly.
All right. What did you do with the first big amount of money you ever made?
I don't know. Maybe I cleared up a credit card or something, but it's like that's a good question. I'm not totally sure. I can't remember. You know what I mean? Maybe it doesn't really feel like My joke is that I would say, you know you've made it when you can just take something out of the minibar and not think twice about it.
That is a good litmus test.
Right.
I remember one time my brother and I were both staying at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and I saw him in the lobby. He had this terrible look on his face. I said, "What happened?" He said, "My son just told me that he made a potion out of every single thing that was in the minibar."
Oh, God. I mean, I would be like, what?
All right, Charlotte, time for our lightning round. We have some fun questions for you. A few would you rather. All I ask is that you just give us the first thing that pops into your head. Don't think about it. Okay, would you rather night at the ballet or day on the slopes?
Oh, that's really hard. I think I would rather be skiing.
Okay.
Because it erases your brain and is a de-stressor.
Okay.
But I would feel a little guilty about that.
What's your morning news routine?
My morning news routine is to read the People Slack channels and see what's up, because they know before other people do.
Okay. What's the best advice you've received?
That's a good question. I mean, I've had a lot of people tell me that I should lighten up. So maybe that.
Well, whatever you're doing has worked for you. So lightened or not, I don't know. You're stranded on an island. You can only take one of People's Sexiest Man Alive issues with you. Who is it?
Jonathan Bailey. Because it was just such a good shoot. He was so nice. And it's just, I think it's my favorite cover so far that I've had a hand in shaping.
Okay.
If I have to choose a backup.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. It's a backup island. You have.
Okay, backup island. I would choose the 1997 George Clooney issue because it was the first time that they turned SMA, Sexiest Man Alive, into a blowout. And it had dozens of articles and all different guys and a sexy shoot with George and all this stuff. So that was like a specifically very, very good one.
Okay, that is a very good one. Would you rather drive or be driven?
Drive.
Would you rather move into a new house or move into a new office?
New office, which I just did today.
Today?
Yes.
Oh, so this is a busy day for you.
Yes, I move offices all the time. I don't feel like moving houses again, though.
All right. What's the last TV series you binged?
I watched Love Story, the JFK Jr. one, and I would watch, because they didn't dump it all at once. You had to wait a week. So I would watch whatever was available, and then I would go back and rewatch the whole thing and watch it all again. So I watched it like exponentially many times.
Okay. Would you rather dress up for a red carpet or stay home on your couch in sweats?
Both are fun. Both are fun, but I think that staying home is more fun.
Okay. What is the dream celebrity interview that you haven't done yet?
Oh, this is a good one. I've been actually dying to do a cover with Jack Black, and he's been like this elusive character for us. He's just got other things to do and it hasn't been a priority, but I would love to have Jack Black on the cover of People because I think he might be the new, like in many ways, a new Robin Williams, like somebody that everybody knows and loves throughout all generations. And I don't think we've done much with him, and I think it's a shame because I think everybody, my kids, everybody loves him.
Okay.
So Jack Black, if you're
Jack Black, okay.
If
he listens to How She Does It, maybe this will be the thing that'll put him over the edge. Okay. What was the first job you had with a paycheck?
I don't remember exactly where it was. I had a bunch of little tiny jobs when I was in high school. I worked at the precursor to Whole Foods. It was called Wild Oats.
Oh, yeah.
In the vitamin department.
Okay.
That might have been great. It. I can't remember.
Okay. What books are on your nightstand or your Kindle?
I have the book Surrounded by Idiots on the nightstand, and I read half of it. Did you ever read it?
No, I don't know the book Surrounded by Idiots.
Basically, I think it's like pretty much a business book or a psychology book where it's like breaking down. It's like everybody's not an idiot. People are just different, and here's the personality types that they are. And it's like color-coded. And so I immediately detected that I'm red, which is like controlling. And then there's a yellow one, which is like kind of kooky and all over the place. And then I got bored and I put the book down.
Okay. All right. Last one, 2 parts. What is the best investment you've ever made and the worst investment you've ever made? And it doesn't need to be an actual investment or stock or anything. It could be a class or anything.
Best investment was probably my first house because I bought it at the base of the market and I sold it during the pandemic and we were able to upgrade nicely using that amount. And then the worst investment is probably just all the ski gear that I have to buy for my kids that they grow out of.
Yeah.
And then
that is a bad investment.
I can pass it along to somebody else, but it's not what you would call a good way to spend your money.
All right, Charlotte, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Best of luck with the magazine.
My pleasure to be here.
Check out more from People's World's Most Beautiful Issue by downloading the People app. You can pick up the issue on newsstands starting Friday, April 24th. Wishing you all a beautiful week. We'll have another great conversation for you soon. Until then, onward.